Hey, hey, Blue Table fans! And we're off with 8th edition again. Actually, you know what? Let's do Creature Caster first. This is a company that started some years ago, and they just started putting out these really great, larger scale figures. And with a wink and a nod, these are really the Games Workshop Greater Demons. In fact, let's just go take a look at some of these amazing figures. It's a Canadian company. I believe that they came out of Ultraforge, which produced some really great figures. And guys, this is really good stuff. Let's take a look at some of their dragons first. This one costs $180 Canadian. So let me just do a quick conversion from Canadian dollars to US dollars to get an idea of what this is in US dollars. Okay, so the Canada dollar is actually weak. The Canadian dollar is actually weak against the US dollar by about 25 to 30%. So this $180 Canadian is probably more like $140 US, somewhere around there. It's still a pretty expensive figure, but this thing is really cool. They have a video of it down here. This is actually the sort of general form of one of their original figures. And I just want to take a look at the pieces and show you something about this. It comes with a dais where a 20mm base can fit in there. This down here, this actually is pretty small. It fits on a 2" by 3" rectangle. Excuse me. And a saddle. And if you look here, just regular scales. So it could just be a dragon. Or you could just magnetize all 3 of them. And I have to tell you, this model is really cool. It's certainly worth buying just to paint it. Now, they do have, I've had a lot of requests for undead recently, and these guys put out a pretty mean zombie dragon. This model is really amazing, and probably weighs in at about $130. And again, this comes with the 3 different options for the back. Today's show should run about 15 minutes, by the way, so I don't want to spend too much time on Creature Caster. But this figure's really cool. Needs no conversion or any other alteration. And yeah, just amazing. Now let's take a look at some of these. So demons, dragons, you got this big tree person here. This is my favorite, the vulture demon. At 110 Canadian, that's only about 70 bucks for a really amazing figure. And quite frankly, I would stand this figure up against Games Workshop's current Greater Demon of Tzeentch, or Lord of Change, I guess. So here it comes. Let's take a look at this guy. In fact, I definitely want to get this model for my upcoming Tzeentch army. Yep. And you know, the last few months I've been like, wow, things seem kind of slow. What's going on? Oh, duh, it's 8th edition. And 8th edition is different because they're redoing all the army books at once. So previously, even though you knew a new edition of the rules was coming out, people would still order an army because they knew their army book would still be working for it, that the same basic mechanics would be there. But now, it's anybody's game. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And by the way, if you look at the pegging on this, it looks real smooth. And you can, in fact, on some of the dragons, you can tell that the mold cuts are really nice. This spider demon is absolutely amazing. Got to check that gal out. And warrior demon, possessed dragon. This would be great for my ultimate D&D game. And I'm not gonna stop talking about it because that's what I want to do. I want to walk onto a resort, have a place there to just do this stuff and add entertainment value and general value to everything that's going on. So here it comes. Yeah, this is pretty incredible. I mean, this thing, like the jaw just opens up all the way down its neck. What an original formulation. It's just really This thing is really cool, guys. Oh man. I want these. I want to own and paint every single one of these. All right, let's move on. Warhammer 40K 8th edition. It was needed. They're doing a great job. Absolutely amazing. I got to tell you, I did a double take when I saw Frankie on there, and he actually came out to one of the Valhallas a couple of years ago, and they had just come out with their mats, and I got to tell you, it's really nice to see those guys being successful. It's really neat. All right, 40K large models. Today we take a look at the biggest models in the game and how they're going to work in the new edition. Few big changes here, though we covered some of them a little when we looked at profiles. Like the 3 units we've seen already, every model will be using the same profile system: wounds, strength, toughness, etc. That includes vehicles. We've gotten rid of specific rules for gargantuan creatures, super heavy vehicles, and these units will have a suitably impressive stat lines, but play by the same rules as everyone else. This also means that those units that previously sat just shy of super heavy and missed out on a bunch of special rules will now be appropriately killy and durable. My prediction is they'll still have specific special rules which will make them really cool. So the larger things won't just have an impressive stat line, they'll also have some special rules. But it won't be, by the way, UA is the client that's calling me right now, and I'll have to call him back. Okay, here we go. So the biggest Tyranid monsters now have over a dozen wounds, where Imperial Knights have over 20. Now this is really a big deal, and I want to indulge just a little bit in Math Hammer here, and I want to take something that let's say Carnifex has 12 wounds. Okay, so to peel off those 12 wounds, how many bolter shots are you going to need in order to get rid of those wounds? And so let's go ahead and do it. So 12 wounds, and you'll need to have the failed saves proportionate to those wounds. And so let's say it's the Carnifex has a 4-up save. So already we're at double. It'll take 24 wounding hits for them to fail the 12 things. And then to get the wounding hits, according to the new wound chart, assuming the Carnifex has like toughness 6, you'll need a 5-up to wound, which means you'll need triple those number of hits. So you will need 72 hits in order to get the wounds. And then now you've got to go for, you've had to make your hit roll. So 108 bolter shots attempted at a model with that stat line, 12 wounds, 6 toughness, would need 108 shots. So it's interesting because in the new system, those larger creatures, I gotta tell you, I don't think you're gonna be able to torrent of fire them as much as you used to. It's gonna take a lot of shots to take them out. Or maybe it's exactly like they used to be. Oh my gosh, Sean, I feel dumb now. All right, away we go. But again, with vehicles, like to take down the stat line that they give here of a Morkanaut, I calculated it would take 480 regular bolter shots to manage it. So let's see here. But they also degrade. Let's see if I can make this larger. So what happens is, look at the stars here on the stat line. These are the stats that go down as it takes a lot of wounds. So if it's above half wounds, it's got a movement of 8 inches, a weapon skill of 3 up, and a attacks of 4. But as you knock it down, the movement goes down to 4 inches, halved. It now takes a 5 up to hit in close combat and only has 2 attacks. But the shooting is unaffected. So you'll have to really keep your eye on the sliding stat lines, because I don't think it'll be the same for every large creature. Like, I predict the shooting will go down on some, and other stats will be affected as it goes down. Well, in fact, what stats could be affected? Maybe save, probably not. You could have movement, weapon skill, ballistic skill, and attacks are probably going to go down. So anyway, this can make big models very powerful, but there's a counter mechanic in the rules. Oh, this just talks about the degrading. All right, we're at 10 minutes, so I got to get to the next thing. Okay, so here we go. Let's do infantry. This is the one that came out today. And this is huge, and I love it. I love it so much. Hats off to Games Workshop. So well constructed. Absolutely amazing. And, you know, they really reached out to the community, and they reached out to people in the community that really know what this game is about on a competitive level to, I think, make the game more balanced and very simple and easy to learn. So gone is the old strength toughness chart. In fact, I think I'm going to try and find that for you. 40K. Can you hear me typing? Isn't that wonderful? No, that's not wonderful. It's actually terrible. Yep, here it is. Here's the old strength toughness chart. Now, there was a mathematical way to figure this out, but that I would explain to people when they were learning the game. But I think this new chart, this new way of doing it, is actually better, and I think it will make for some interesting mechanics going on, because the new one is that if the strength and toughness are equal, you need a 4-up, 50-50, just like before. But if your strength is greater than the toughness, even if it was a lot greater, it's never going to go to 2+. If you're just, so let's say strength 4 bolter versus a toughness 3 fire warrior, in the old edition needed a 3-up. But a strength 5 heavy bolter versus a toughness 3 fire warrior will still just need a 3-up. You'll need to get to twice the toughness in order to get the D6 roll. So here's your old wound chart. Let me see if I can just get that over here. And excuse me, so see all the 2+? And it's the same now. 2+ are the maximum. But here it gets to N, you can't wound something at all. But the new chart, it never goes worse than a 6-up. So if the strength is lower than the toughness, it needs a 5-up. And if it's half or less the toughness, or looking at it the other way, the toughness is double or higher, then you need a 6-up. And that's a really big watershed that prevents that small arms fire from wounding these large toughness creatures. In fact, if we go back to the Morkanaut, with toughness 8, that means something with a 5 strength that in former times would have needed a 6 to wound. Guess what? That only needs a 5 to wound now. So what it's doing, you're going to see some weapons start to slide into different battlefield roles. So like the heavy bolter, it's no better than a regular bolter against guys with toughness 3. Or even, toughness 3. It is better against guys with toughness 4, which is actually a pretty common toughness given that Space Marines are out there. So heavy bolters, though, actually do a lot better against larger targets. So yeah, I think like demons and stuff like that, I think the heavy bolter is actually gonna really start shining a little bit more. Something like that. Now, so you can, now I'm reading it verbatim again. So you can see that while even the humble lasgun has a chance to take down the biggest foe, you'll need a lot of small arms fire to really threaten the big stuff. Etc. You'd need over 500 bolters firing at the Gorkanaut to bring it down. So, that's basically my math. I came up with 480 shots. Whereas you'd need just over a dozen las cannons. Oh man, that's a lot. I actually think you'll need less. Also, what's worthwhile noting here is the bell curve. Is the bell curve of probabilities, let's see if I can find this, of probabilities is actually makes it so that So that if you're, let's say you're going to hit and wound with something large with, say, 10 las cannons. So you're going to roll 10 dice. Well, guess what? Those 10 dice, the more dice you roll, the more average those results end up becoming. So in fact, let me just get a bell curve of probabilities here. Let's see if that, so I can just show you what you're talking about. So if you roll a d20, there's the same chance for every single result. But if you roll 2d10, it creates a bell curve where chances are that you will get something something a little less. So that chances are you'll get something more towards the middle. Okay, that was really not a very good chart. There you go. So anyway, so the more dice you roll, the more you're going to get these sort of middle results here. And in college I took a probability math class, and because I was a language arts major, I didn't really have to take a lot of math, and I was really glad that probabilities rolled around because it served me well and it was something that I was really interested in. So anyway, all right, we're already at 16 minutes. We'll probably end up at 20 minutes, just like these shows are averaging. Let's see. Not a problem, though, because in the new Warhammer 40K, models in a squad can fire at different targets. Now, what I'm hoping isn't, like, so let's say you have a tac squad with a flamer, and that's the example they give, that a flamer can shoot at something while the crack missile, the missile launcher guy can shoot at something else, and all the bolters fire at something else. I really hope that the 8 bolters in the tac squad can't split up fire between 3 different things. I'm hoping that weapons of a similar type have to all shoot at the exact same target, because otherwise you're going to have people just taking forever trying to figure out how to split their fire. So here's crossing my fingers for that. So there you go. All right, guys, that's all I got to say for today. If you want to have a project done, contact me at projects@bluetablepainting.com. I'm going to be doing some May advance specials where you can just get a flat credit for whatever you want to do in June for your 40K army. So guys, but that's to be announced. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that I've received from so many people over the years. It's been an absolutely fantastic journey, and here's to many more years to come. 3, 2, 1.